Hey, we're going to take a look at how you create an angle, and we're going to use the Arkansas Derby as an example. So when you go into Betmix, the first thing you want to do is pick the race that you want to base the angle on. So go into Bird Dog, and we have the date and track selection up here. So we're going to go ahead and pick Saturday, May 2nd, Oaklawn, and we're going to pick, there's two runnings of the Arkansas Derby, so we're just going to pick one of them. Doesn't matter which, everything is going to be based on the Arkansas Derby history. So that race is open within Bird Dog now, and you can do a lot within here, but what we're going to focus on today is how you create an angle. So you'll see this button over here that says Open in Angler. That's going to open this race up in Angler, and it's going to fill out some of these options for you. So it's what it does by default is it picks a date range of 2 years. It picks the track that you were just on, so in this case it should be Oaklawn. The distance, which of course is 9 furlongs for the Arkansas Derby, the surface, and the class. And as you can see down here, the class is grade 1. We want to not normally 2 years is a solid date range for the kinds of races that you'd want to look at in Angler, because they run very frequently, not just once a year. Big races like the Arkansas Derby, the Kentucky Derby, things like that, they happen once a year, and so there's not a whole lot of data that we have going back 7 years. For a 6 furlong dirt claiming race at Oaklawn, we would have potentially hundreds, maybe 1,000 similar race types. But just as an exercise here to show you how you use Angler and how what kind of picks it would come up for the Arkansas Derby, we're going to go back to as far back as we can in our database, which was 2012. We'll go back to March. I'm not sure when they ran the Arkansas. I think it was in April. But anyway, we have a date range of the beginning of time all the way up to the day before the Arkansas Derby. We're going to hit Start Search, and it finds 7 runnings of the Arkansas Derby. You can see that because there's 7 winners. And there were 70 horses that ran in those 7 runnings of the Arkansas Derby. And down here are all these horses that were in each one of those Arkansas Derbies. If I sort by win payoff down here, we can see the winners. It goes back to have American Pharaoh, and then the high big long shot Danza, and then Creator, Overanalyze, etc. So we have all those winners. Now what we want to try to do is figure out what are the commonalities among the horses that won the previous runnings of the Arkansas Derby, and then once we have those, we're going to apply that to today's running of the Derby and see which horses stack up the same way and look similar. So the first thing you want to do when you're trying to create an angle is to analyze the winners. So there's a button up here that says Analyze Winners, and that's going to look at all of the factors for just these 7 horses that won the race. So we'll go ahead and do that. We'll click that button, and it's cranking away right now on the screen, and it's going to go look at the factors for all those horses, and you can see it comes back here. We know that in this case every race was 9 furlongs on the dirt, and it was grade 1. If we were looking at a sample of other races, you would see a distribution of different bars in this bar chart, but since it's all the same race, that's all going to be equal. Now down here, as we scroll down, we see a list of all of the factors. You can sort them in different ways, by the factor name, by the number, and so you would, I guess the first question you may ask is, how come there's not 6 horses that were represented so in each factor? And that's because, there was not turf earnings for every horse, or all-weather earnings for every horse. So in this case, we want to focus on the factors that were common among all winners of the last 7 runnings of the Arkansas Derby. And so if I sort by first over here, what this tells you right here is that when you look at something like off odds, which is the actual odds that the horse, the betting public assigned to that horse when the gates opened, the 66.7% of them were ranked first in that, which means that 66% of the winners of the Arkansas Derby have been favorites over the last 7 years. The second highest one right here you'd see is lifetime earnings. So 57% of these 7 winners were ranked first in lifetime earnings. A couple were third, and so on, and all the way down to 8th. So we want to kind of limit these. So what we're going to do is we're going to start sorting these by zeros. We want to get these factors to where the or most of the winners were ranked very high in. So as you can see, let's start down here with something like last race class. So we know that all 7 winners were least ranked in the top 6 in last race class. So let's take a look at that and say, all right, expand the factors, and we're going to say all these horses had to have been ranked last race class 1 through 7. So we're going to do that, and now we're looking only at horses that were ranked between 1st and 7th in last race class. And that factor is just looking at how classy their previous start was. So now we'll hit start search, and we should see that number drop. Now, we lost 19 horses. So out of the 70 total horses that have been in these races, 19 of them would not have qualified for that. So we're left with 51. But the key thing here is that we still have all 7 of our winners. So we're going to do this again. And you don't have to keep doing this over and over. You can make these changes without analyzing each time, but just to illustrate here, we'll go back and we'll say we'll look for some other factors that are pretty limiting in terms of catching all the winners. So let's look at this one. Trainer 6-month win percentage rank. You have to be in the top 6 win percent rank for trainers. So what that factor tells you is that over the last 6 months, each trainer has won a certain percentage of its races, and so only the 6 best trainers in all these previous Arkansas Derbies have won. So we will set that as a condition. We'll go to trainer jockey and we'll say trainer 6-month win percentage. You have to have one of the 6 best trainers. So now that's a condition you can see over here. Trainer 6-month win percentage 1st through 6th. We'll do the same thing for late pace. So all of these previous winners were one of the 6 best horses in terms of how fast they ran the latter part of the race. So that would be their their average late pace, which is looking at the last 3 races. So we'll set that to top 6. Okay, so now we have 3 conditions that they have to have met. And then we could look at something like best speed last 3. So when you look at their last 3 races, we want the horses that ranked in the top 6 in terms of their speed over their last 3 races. And we'll add that. All right, so now we have 4 conditions that we want that all previous Arkansas Derby winners have met. They've all been ranked in the top 6 in average late pace, top 6 in best speed last 3, top 7 in last race class, and trainer 6-month win percentage, they've been top 6. So we hit start search, we would imagine that this is going to drop. We're going to kick out a lot of horses that didn't qualify, and that's true. Now we're at 7 winners from 22 starters. That's not bad, because you look at we won every year, and if we would have bet all 22 of those horses, $2 to win on all 22 of those horses, we would have actually made a profit of $92, and that's because we're catching all winners, which included Danza, who paid $84 at 41 to 1. So all of those 7 winners are still there, and all the rest of these, of course, did not win. But a lot of them did run 2nd or 3rd, so these would be contenders that qualified but didn't win. So all right, we've pretty much narrowed down the field using just 4 factors, or narrowed down these previous seven runnings of the Arkansas Derby. So what does that look like for Saturday? Which horses in these 2 runnings of the Arkansas Derby will qualify on these 4 basic restrictions that we've asked for? So what we do is right now our date range is everything from March 1st, 2012 through May 1st. Well, we know the Arkansas Derby is going to be run on May 2nd. So we want to find horses on May 2nd of this year that meet all these conditions. That are running at Oaklawn on a dirt track that's 9 furlongs, that's a grade 1 race, that have all of these other rankings, and we'll see what it comes up with. So we find 5 contenders on Saturday. Now if we go down here, we find those 5 horses. We see that 2 in race 11 and 3 in race 13. So these are the 2 horses, according to our previous 7 Arkansas Derbies, that could, if everything worked out exactly the same. And again, warning here, this is a small sample. We're looking at 7 previous races. So there's a lot of opportunity for something new to happen here that hasn't happened before. But again, just to give you an illustration of how Angler works, this will work a lot better if you're looking at a bigger sample with hundreds of results. You get a much better result. So anyway, the two contenders that it likes in the first running on race 11 are Charlatan and Governor Morris. Not a big surprise there. Those Charlatan's the big favorite, and then Governor Morris is also a strong contender. And then race 13, the second running, it does give you Nadal, Farmington Road, and Wells Bayou. Those are the horses that all appear to be similar to the previous 7 winners in our database of the Arkansas Derby. They've met all of these conditions. None of the other horses running that day have met all of these conditions. There's no guarantee that each one of these horses, obviously they can't all win, but that the winner's going to come from these 2 or these 3. But I think you can understand how it would be a decent bet to find a horse that looked a lot like the previous winners to play this Saturday. So here they are again: Charlatan, Governor Morris, Nadal, Farmington Road, and Wells Bayou. Good luck, and if you guys want to try out Angler, all you got to do is go to Betmix Tools Angler, and you can mess around in here till you find all the winners for all the other races on Saturday. Thanks a lot.